I was officially diagnosed with ADHD about 2 weeks ago. Almost 2 weeks ago. And the incredible thing to me on reflecting over the last, years of my life, I'm 31 now, is how drastically misinformed I was and have been about ADHD. It's such a commonly known disorder. An openly talked about one that you hear kids are put on medication for, and then that's about it. TV shows make fun of it, comic strips play farce with it, and sketch comedy clubs reference it all the time. Oh, he has ADHD. Oh, that's just his ADD brain talking. I don't mind him. He just needs a little bit of Adderall to sit still. And I consumed, bought, disregarded, and misunderstood ADHD to the very depths of what the diagnosis is. So this video, here on Someone Going Somewhere, a channel dedicated to the idea that we're all growing, we're all still working on becoming the people and the person that we want to be, and that it's worth documenting and talking about that journey together. So this video, I'm going to talk about some of the misinformation I believed regarding ADHD. It's remarkable, actually, how prevalent ADHD is. I mean, about 5% of the population has ADHD. Now, not all of them are diagnosed, but certainly many of them are, and many of them should be. In fact, out of kids that are diagnosed with ADHD, what statistics show us is that about 60% of those kids will grow into adults who also have ADHD. So fewer who are diagnosed with it actually grow out of it as they age. That's one of the first most common misconceptions you have, is that adults don't have, can't get, and don't need to worry about ADHD. Kind of remarkable, actually, because there's no other mental disorder that I think about when it comes to someone growing up and growing a little bit older that changes the way I perceive how it might affect them. If someone has depression or anxiety or bipolar disorder or schizophrenia, I kind of assume in extreme cases or, with the more extreme disorders that the degree to which it grows with them as they age and the degree to which medication is necessary and the idea of them becoming free from it just because they turned 18 or 21 is kind of remarkable. That's not how those things work. And yet with ADHD, there's this stigma against adults having it. It's looked at as a kid's disorder. And I bought that hook, line, and sinker. Adults don't have ADHD. That's what I thought. That's what I told myself. And it wasn't until encountering many friends and many close people around me who were diagnosed over the years and some who have been on medication since they were young that I realized and started to reconcile with the idea that adults do have it. Even then, though, I didn't have a very good understanding of what ADHD was and how it was affecting the person on a day-to-day basis. I thought it was more the concept of being easily distracted all the time. Look, a butterfly over there, a squirrel over here. That's the memes you see. That's the idea. And while ADHD can elicit things like that, things that are moving quick or are adorable and fuzzy, yeah, they might grab your attention. It usually isn't the application of the disorder. You see, it's not a lack of attention. It's not that just fluffy things around you and little forest creatures grab your attention every time they pass. Instead, ADHD is an inability to control your distractions, or the exact opposite of that, an inability to pull away from one singular focus. It's kind of remarkable when you think about it that way. It's the inability to redirect your attention. So that attention could be split across multiple things, which happens to be why people meme it by saying there's a squirrel running by. Or it could be that you're so absorbed in a single project, in a single task, that you're unable to pull away from it, even to the detriment of those around you, to your life, to your work, to the people you care about. Even when your brain is screaming, you should really get up and move away, or stop thinking about that one thing, that conversation, that topic, that project that you want to work on constantly, incessantly. It's really, really fascinating. I think the stigma of look a butterfly comes easier when you talk about making fun of it. And because there's a significant amount of people that do struggle with ADHD, it is something that is talked about and made fun of regularly. But that also leads to another common misconception that I have had, and that I believed, that kids were really largely medicated as a way to keep them, well, in schools that weren't designed for kids that had normal energy levels. But ADHD has nothing to do about normal energy levels. It doesn't really address the problem. The problem is a lack of dopamine and other neurotransmitters in your brain that makes it so you don't develop quite as quickly. It means that you're behind the rest of your peer group when it comes to things like executive function, and your ability to sit and focus on a single thing might look very different from other kids that are sitting around you. Gazing out of a window, doodling on a sketch pad, or swinging back and forth and standing up may all be examples of how you're actually engaged in class and doing your best to stay focused on the teacher. Yes, I am sure in the past it has been overdiagnosed and overmedicated without the proper clinical, therapeutic, and habitual steps a family team, a family unit needs to take to really help a child or an adult grow. But that does not take away the fact that medication is so essential. And I never knew that, never believed that, couldn't have reconciled that until I tried it for myself. The thousands of voices went away, the ability to focus on one project, the ability to tell myself I should do something that I really actually wanted to do, and then get up and just do it, was remarkable. I scream at myself for hours every day off medication, trying to convince myself, my body, my mind, whatever pleasure and reward pathways I have in my brain, to just do normal things. Keep track of your spending so that your wife doesn't get upset. Wash the dishes and clean the house instead of watching an extra 4 YouTube videos today. Film a video for the channel so that you're not running behind. Get ahead on your schedule. Have a schedule in the first place. Keep track of the notebooks that you've been scribbling in. And yet, I can't. And it's not that I won't. It's not that I don't want to. It's not that I don't desperately desire to with everything that I am. But I can't. It's like moving through mud or through oil. It's as if everything in my body shudders at the steps I have to take to grow. It's pretty remarkable. The medication makes it so that I can just move forward. I think that's how, when I reflect on it, a lot of people are. That's why it's so frustrating to them when I don't. Why they think I'm being rude when I forget common information. Names, phone numbers, birthdays, addresses. That's why they think I'm being inconsiderate when I show up a little bit late to an event, or I'm not ready to go exactly when I told them I would. That's why they think I'm bad professionally when I don't deliver a video on time, or I haven't read the rulebook carefully enough to get every little nuanced detail right. The reality is, I do care desperately with everything that I am. That doesn't mean that I'm always able. So medication and ADHD is not a way to keep kids in seats in school. It's a way to help kids who can't do what everyone else can. They can do tons of other amazing things. I'm not being hard on ADHD. I'm so thankful and grateful for the life that I have and the life that I have set out before me. But honestly, without help and guidance and medication, I don't know that my life going forward would look all that good. I was getting to the point where, before I got diagnosed, I didn't have any more answers left. I was falling apart. I couldn't keep juggling everything that I needed to juggle. kids should be medicated. Maybe lightly medicated, and certainly with a lot of home support. But you shouldn't withhold a treatment that is so well understood and transformative from those who need it, including yourself. If you're watching this and deciding whether or not you want to take the swing or get back on the drugs, it doesn't make you submissive to them. It means that you have the ability to say, sometimes you need help. More things that I didn't really understand and didn't believe, didn't reconcile as an adult looking at ADHD from outside the circle, I think. One of them was that normal solutions to normal problems should work. If you're not good at scheduling, well, get a scheduler, get a calendar, start taking notes and keeping track of things. If you're not good at taking notes and keeping track of things, well, get a journal or a notebook. If you're not good at using a journal or a notebook, well, use your phone. Set alarms. Have people remind you. Just do it. Just remember. Just work harder. Just write down more names. Just go through more flashcards. Just recall what you need to recall. Figure out what's due a week from now, whether it's your homework or your projects that you're doing for work, whether it's your hobbies and the tasks that you're doing for friends and loved ones around you. You know holidays are coming up. Why don't you get things prepared ahead of time? Write your dad that letter you've always meant to. Or buy your wife those flowers before Shabbat starts. The reality is that normal solutions to normal problems. Because the problems that people with ADHD face and the challenges they face are typically normal challenges. So there's a lot of solutions out there. But for those with non-neurodivergent brains, those solutions work very well. But with people who have ADHD, those solutions are anything but helpful. Trust me, I've tried the vast majority of them, and I couldn't understand why I couldn't regulate my sleep, why I couldn't remember names, birthdays, holidays, no matter how hard I tried or how many notes and reminders I put. I couldn't figure out why I was never quite there on time unless I obsessed over it and left well in advance of when I needed to be there. Why I misplace little common things that I need to have on me at all times. Wallet, money, driver's license, a notebook to write the things that I'm trying to remember down, my phone constantly, all the time. Those solutions don't work. For the ADHD brain, there's other solutions, other habits, other ways of living and experiencing life that you have to understand. Or else your brain's lack of dopamine and other molecules will result in all of those other methods being wholly ineffective. For instance, a kid with ADHD is likely to react much less to punishment over reward. Because punishment doesn't give any dopamine. It just sours the whole experience. But the kid's starving for dopamine. His whole brain and body need it to function. And so, pleasure, candy, a treat, a nice word, a game, whatever rewards good behavior is more likely to be effective, but most parents don't know that. Most academics and teachers and people will just think, well, you need to be stricter with him. Bring the hammer down. Punish him a little bit more. Send him to his room where he'll be bored finally so he can sit still for a little bit. It just makes the kid's brain starve even more for the thing that it's already lacking. That's true for adults too. You have to be kind to yourself. I'm not an advocate of always being kind to yourself. I am hard on myself, and I think a lot of people with ADHD are. But actual growth and healing for you probably won't come through that. The last thing that I thought and believed, the stereotype that I bought into this whole journey, was that I don't have it. I'm okay. I'm smart. I need to just work a little bit harder. I can do anything I put my mind to. A lot of people who have ADHD when they're adults and have yet to be diagnosed fall into that same trap. I told myself I would never try a medication like Adderall because, one, I didn't need it, and two, the effects of it sounded amazing. So I would never subject myself to the horror of trying something that sounded so good. But the reality of it is that it sounded good because it fit exactly what I was lacking. And so, meeting with a psychiatrist about 2 years after I started the conversation and finally sitting down and getting diagnosed was eye-opening. I thought that I was smart, creative, able to outwork everyone else around me, able to push through any pain or obstacle that I faced. I'd been successful up to this point in my life and had been able to balance and, avoid the things that I didn't want to do very, very well. I was crafty and conniving, the best at making sure I could procrastinate and yet still get the work done right before it was due. And I had so many excuses, from not feeling well to not having enough time to needing more help. But the reality was, I just wasn't able to do it. I couldn't get started. For some reason, life absorbed me and stole all my time until I was under pressure and against the wall. All those things I just listed. Being smart, being creative, being successful, outworking everyone else around you, trying your best to do right by people, and always being worried that you're not, because oftentimes you're not. All of those fall into the camp of ADHD. You can't be too smart to not have ADHD. You can't be so successful or so hardworking or so brilliant at avoiding the tasks that are around you. There's nothing like that. So, maybe a little bit too late, but eventually I got help. And looking back at my opinions, my misconceptions, and my lack of knowledge around something that I felt very confident saying that I had knowledge on is remarkable. Most of society does not understand ADHD. When I've been telling people that I got diagnosed, which I'm very open and public about, one of the common refrains and responses is, we all have a little bit, don't we? Or, oh, that sounds great. I'd love some Adderall too. And while I get where they're coming from, it's exactly where I was. I've had friends talk about being worried about getting on medication and shy me away from professional help. There's almost no way to communicate to them just how desperate my brain was for a solution and for support. So I hope I've opened your eyes to some of the misconceptions you might have, and I hope moving forward I continue to reflect upon my knowledge or lack thereof and reconcile things both that relate to me and don't relate to me that can help me understand the world and the people around me a little bit better. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here. Remember, this is someone doing something. You're someone, and we're on this journey together. We'll see you next time. Bye.